Board of Education deferred maintenance. I believe this bill was sponsored by Delegate Atterbury. Delegate Atterbury, do you want to go ahead and introduce this bill?
Yes, thank you. So this bill is not a new bill. It has been around. It is enabling legislation that allows the council, should they choose, to enact an excise tax on commercial building construction. And the revenues will be deposited into the general fund and used only for deferred maintenance needs that would be identified by the Board of Education. And that's the bill. It's supported by PTAC and obviously opposed by developers and the building association. And I move the bill.
Okay, so.
Second.
Thank you, Delegate Raza. I see Senator Hester has her hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you for this bill, Delegate Atterbury. We really do have a problem with deferred maintenance here in probably a state. My question is about whether this bill would still be, necessary should a statewide bill that I'm working on, pass, and that would be to clarify that the money in the Built to Learn Act, can be used for new school construction and also deferred maintenance of any size.
Well, I'm not sure. Your bill would have to pass both chambers. And so this would be, I would think, a safety net that gives the tools to the county should they need it. They don't have to exercise it should the state pass something that is significant and contributing to our deferred maintenance problem here in Howard County.
Mr. Chair, if I could just respond quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm indeed hopeful that this bill will pass. My understanding is that was the original intent of the legislature when we passed the Built to Learn Act and then overrode the governor's veto, that deferred maintenance would be covered. So just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? I see Delegate Kittleman followed by Delegate Hill.
I've just reviewed this quickly, but is there any limit set on how much of a tax the county could assess?
No, that would be up to the county to determine.
Any further? Is that your only question, Delegate Kittleman?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
All right. Next, I see Delegate Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Delegate Atterbury. I wanted to follow up with you and Senator Hester. I think that one of the advantages of your legislation is that even if all the Built to Learn money went to deferred maintenance, that's a finite pot of money. And as you point out, this would give the local jurisdiction authority that they might not need to exercise for 5 or 10 years, but so that we don't fall further behind, it would also potentially give them the opportunity to accelerate some of the maintenance and the backlog over what the annual appropriations from the Built to Learn are. That being said, I believe that we have a number of caps on different revenue streams that the county has the options to raise, including property tax rates. And I would wonder, Delegate, if you would entertain considering capping the amount as Delegate Kittleman alluded. I think that would make it much more comfortable for me.
Yes, yep, I'm open to any suggestions to a cap.
And I will say that I would not, unless you asked, I would not offer the amendment because there are a number of people more versed in what an appropriate cap would be who are part of this delegation and access. So I'm not offering it as an amendment, but I'm hoping that you'll consider a number. Thank you.
Okay. No further questions from Delegate Hill. We can go on to Delegate Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Delegate Atterbury, do we know, and you may have said this at one point and I've forgotten, do we have other jurisdictions in the state that have this or have passed enabling legislation for this?
I don't know if there are other jurisdictions that have it specifically for deferred maintenance. There are certainly other jurisdictions that have excise taxes for various needs. I just don't know if they're specifically for school construction.
Right. Okay. So that was I guess my question more specifically is do we have any other jurisdictions that tax commercial building for the schools?
I don't know the answer to that, but I could find that out.
Okay, that'd be helpful. Also, did we at one point, maybe last year, get any kind of economic impact statement on the impact of doing this?
I don't remember.
Okay,
Yeah.
just check on that. I don't know if the economic development arm of the county weighed in on this and what kind of impact it would have on the economy locally. So it would be good to know if we have any information on that. And the last question I have is, did we get any kind of reaction from the county on this bill, either last year or this year?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I see Delegate Novotny, followed by Delegate Feldmar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegate Atterbury, I appreciate you bringing forward this concept. My question is similar to what we were just talking about. I don't know if any of the testimony against had talked about the potential rise, detrimental to the economy or the potential rise of the cost of living. Do you remember if any of that was mentioned while they were giving testimony against this bill?
I don't remember, but I'm on the drive now, like everyone else can do, and review all the testimony from the hearing. So I'm happy to take a look at that and try to find these answers out for everyone for the next meeting, or have my office do it.
Thank you, Delegate Atterbury.
All right, next, Delegate Feldmar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess one of my questions is, I think kind of related to what Delegate Watson had raised around the economic impact. I guess I'm a little bit concerned about, we still don't know what the commercial market is going to look like in terms of office space in a post-COVID adjustment. And I guess I'm curious about how that plays into this and how, what new office construction we're likely to see over the next 5 years, when this would be in effect, and if that might be a limited potential anyway. The other question I have, and Delegate Atterbury, if you know the answer, that's great. If not, maybe our delegation counsel could help us out. I guess I'm trying to understand what piece of this is actually new authority. I think my understanding is the county already imposes an excise tax. Are they, is this simply making the connection that it's directed revenue for deferred maintenance? Is it already within their authority to raise the excise tax and then make a budgetary decision to fund the deferred maintenance?
So the new piece is linking it specifically for deferred maintenance needs in the school system. I'm trying to remember the first part of your question.
The office market and kind of the post-COVID office
Okay.
market adjustments.
So I think that and the questions related to the economic impact and a forecast would be hard for the county or DLS to determine, which is why it's enabling if the county sees fit. I think it will be hard to do an economic impact statement because certainly if the developers or the building association could do that, they would have done that and submitted it to us. They just submitted a general, this will be bad for commercial development in the future. My counter to that when I met with the building association multiple times, because this bill has been in multiple years, my counter to that was, you know, I'm happy to have the bill sunset, which was in it in the past. I'm happy to, as Delegate Hill suggested, put a cap on it, which I also think was in the past, and it still didn't pass this delegation. But, you know, on one hand, the commercial developers are arguing we want to make Howard County attractive. We do. For them to come here, but we also all want their children to go to our school systems here and have healthy schools and a healthy environment. I think it was 3 years ago, if not more, we were told that it was $500 million of deferred maintenance then. So I'm not sure what the number is now. I can circle back with the school board and try to get that number. But I think that this is just one, you know, tool and, you know, and that cheesy saying in the toolbox that the county can use should they need it at some point. They don't have to, you know, pull the trigger on it. And I think it's really significant for parents in our county, which is why PTAC supports it and has supported it for multiple years and actually helped me work on the initial version of the bill some years ago. So I'm happy, Chair Lamb, to hold the bill and come back and try to get some answers to these questions. A couple I think just don't exist, like an economic forecast, but and hold the vote until next week's meeting.
All right, why don't we complete the comments of the folks that have their hands raised so we can wrap up the discussion. So I see in this order, Delegate Kittleman, Senator Hester, and then Delegate Watson. Delegate Kittleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you're going to get answers, or maybe you know this one, where it says the Howard County may impose different tax rates on different types of commercial building construction. I know that making those kinds of choices can be done, but the way this is structured, it sounds to me a little, if this is legitimate to do, it's sort of like you could pick and choose how much you wanted to charge different developers, depending on what they are building. And I just wondered if you had looked at that, and if so, let me know. And if not, I think that might be something good to determine.
I think my initial response to that is just like commercial buildings are divided up into different types, just classifications generally, you know, whether it's a high rise or if it's like the flat, you know, buildings or square footage. So I think that just speaks to that, to keep the tax rate fair. So there's not one set tax rate, regardless of the size of the building or the classification of the building.
I think perhaps that might be a better, or if you actually referred to those different types that are already in existence, because if you leave it this open, whoever it is that's raising taxes, the council could say, well, it just says different types of commercial buildings, and they could create sort of like the redheaded Eskimo. It just, I think it would be better if you connected it specifically to what types of commercial buildings and how that is defined.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Delegate Kittleman. No other questions or comments, so we'll go to Senator Hester.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just thinking a bit about the economic impact and the question about what other counties, have done. Is there, and I'm happy to go through the testimony also, but could we ask staff to look at the commercial excise taxes that counties have done, even if it's not specifically for deferred maintenance, just in the last couple of years, and see then if there's any economic analyses like associated with those? Because I understand it could be hard to get one going forward, but maybe we could go looking back.
I know that I have done that in the past, which still wasn't helpful, but to getting it through this body, but I can have DLS take a look at that as well. Also, each year, I just want to point out, Mr. Chair, the school board has supported this bill each year. They're meeting next week, so hopefully they'll vote again to support this legislation as well.
Okay, anything else, Senator Hester? Okay, we'll wrap this one up with Delegate Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had two thoughts. One was similar to what Senator Hester just said, in the sense that it would be helpful for me to know if there are other jurisdictions that do allow commercial buildings to be taxed for deferred maintenance for schools. And if that is the case, where they are, so that we can sort of look at backwards whether or not there was any adverse impacts. I also think it would be helpful to hear from Senator Gazzoni with regard to the Build to Learn Act about what we can expect in terms of projections of money for school building in Howard County, including deferred maintenance, if that part of the bill does get adjusted, which I believe that it will, although I admit Delegate Atterbury has a point when she says, this could be a backup plan. So I think those things are important. And also, I would just say, don't be discouraged, Delegate Atterbury, because I think as we go through this, we're learning more and more, and we're understanding more how this could or could not impact things. And so I just wouldn't get discouraged that, we're against the bill. We just have some, I think, questions that would be helpful to our making a decision on it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We have quite a few pending questions here and some additional research that hopefully will be coming back to us in this coming week and distributed to the delegation. So why don't we go ahead and hold that bill, and then I'll pass it along to Chair Watson for the remaining bills.
Thank you. The next bill is the Howard County property tax credit for seniors to offset